All right, well, I just want to welcome everybody to the regular monthly board meeting of Fire District 4. We have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. As is our custom, we can just go around the room here and introduce ourselves, and then I'll have Chris kind of walk us through the introductory portion here with why we're meeting online and the consent agenda. So I'm Mark Land.
Harry Andrews.
Chris Parks.
Jason Vanderveen.
Bill Quinn.
Steve Cooley.
All right, thanks everybody. Yeah, so Chris, I think last time I'm still just kind of getting used to the way we organize our board meeting, but I think I probably did some of what you traditionally do, but would you be willing to, on this time around, walk us through the introductory stuff and what's going to be in the consent agenda?
Okay, absolutely. Public comment due to the Governor Inslee's Proclamation 2028, District 4 is prohibited from providing a location for the public meeting, for the public to attend this meeting. And members of the public will be able to hear the entire meeting via Zoom meeting. And our consent agenda for today are the meeting minutes from May 3rd, 11th, and 13th, the staff reports, the financial reports, the vouchers, the payroll voucher in the amount of $7,414.83, and the expenditure voucher in the amount of $8,836.93.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Harry, before we move through the consent agenda, I guess I just wanted to let you know that the Bellingham Fire Chief, Bill Hewitt, is hopefully going to be joining us at some point during this meeting to talk about the interlocal agreement with the city of Bellingham and their fire department in regards to the training center and that contract. But he has a bunch of things going on right now. So when he is available and joins us, I am hoping that we can be flexible and kind of maybe put on pause whatever we happen to be doing at the moment and talk to him about that proposed contract. I've already talked to him. I've talked to Jason again about it, a little bit with our attorney. But for your benefit, obviously, we just need to, talk about that and then decide what we want to do. So if you're okay with that, we'll probably be flexible with our agenda.
Sounds good, Mark.
And he
Okay.
stated he should be here about 20 after.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Chris, I think I'll just ask you this because I don't think I did it right last time. But in our consent agenda, that includes, so when we entertain a motion and to pass the consent agenda, that includes the minutes, staff reports, financials, and vouchers. That's all that?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Harry, did you have anything you wanted to pull out of there and discuss? Or if you've had a chance to review everything, maybe we can entertain a motion on that then.
So moved.
All right, and I'll second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda that includes the minutes, staff reports, financial reports, and vouchers. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, so that takes us to unfinished business. And I guess we'll skip over the first bullet point, which requires Chief Hewitt to be here for. So the levy lid lift process, I guess I can tee that off for you, Harry, to let you know that I reached out to Ken Cunningham, the union president, and I've asked the union if they would consider supporting that. And of course, it's a political endorsement essentially, since it's going to be on the ballot. So the union has their process that they need to go through to vet that, discuss it. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. I'm hopeful that they would support it and possibly help with the public outreach portion of that. So that's what I've got on that.
Sounds good.
Jason, do you have anything you wanted to add to just the levy lid process, or anything you wanted us to be aware of?
I did take a look at the District 4 budget, and in the professional services category, there's nothing currently budgeted. And that's where maybe you would come up with an informational only flyer that you would want to send out. So you may want to consider using funds and then doing a budget amendment to change that, to fix that later on, so that the district could do an informational mailer about, what is the levy lid lift, why are we doing it, and what are the, what's the impact to the taxpayer. And I think that would be an appropriate use for doing like I said, a budget amendment, because currently there's nothing earmarked for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Counselor, what do you think? We clearly want to separate, politics from governance, and informational flyer, and amending the budget to cover something like that. Does that sound like we'd be on the straight and narrow?
As the board probably knows, there is a statute that limits your use of public facilities and funds in political campaigns, and that applies to ballot propositions as well. But there's an exception for the normal and regular processes that you use. So frequently, the Public Disclosure Commission regulates that law and enforces that law. And frequently, they don't have a problem at all with one general mailing to the populace. Different methods are used by different agencies, but generally speaking, a targeted mailing or even a general mailing using the Postal Service to mail to, for example, all registered voters or even all addresses in your fire district is an acceptable exception. But as Jason said, you'd want to have something in your budget for that. So if you didn't budget for that kind of expense, you probably would at some point need to amend that line item, especially if it puts you over your budget in general. Then you'd have to do a budget amendment. So you can do that. You can do a lot of things, but when you do it, it's subject to PDC review. So somebody could file a complaint. You can ask for PDC review, but that's not normally done in a self-starting sort of way. But if there is a complaint, the PDC will look at it in terms of good content, in terms of no threats, no promises, no inflammatory language that says if you don't approve this, we'll shut down the fire department, or threats like that. And people have been caught and fined for making those kinds of threats. So the content should be reviewed by council to make sure you're okay with the PDC regs. But other than that, I have no problem with what the chief just said about a mailer or a flyer like that.
Okay, good.
And I should probably clarify, there is money set aside for RFA professional services. And I think since it's been documented in the minutes that the RFA process is on hold till next year, and that this levied lid lift request is kind of goes in concert with that RFA that we're bumping till next year, that it can simply be an amendment to take funds from that bars number to move it to just generalized professional services to use those funds. So it wouldn't actually be take even any additional funds out of reserves or anything like that. It would just be moving it from one bars, memorializing the movement from one bars number to the next.
Okay. So Chris, if we decide, well, makes sense to me. And I guess if we end up deciding that this is something we need to do, an informational mailer and whatnot, and just moving the money around to cover it, how would you suggest that logistically, we make that happen so that you're authorized to do that? Is it because I don't know that we would want to wait until the next meeting? It seems like something that should happen between now and the next meeting. But I'm not an election consultant here, so tell me, Jason and Chris and Joe, for Harry and my benefit, the timing on getting this out. It's going to need to be written and reviewed, and just how should all that work? Plus the content, I would think, would be, we'd want to coordinate that with what the other 5 districts are saying. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here for ideas to help make it happen.
No, I was thinking, I believe North Watcom is using a consultant. I don't know her name right now, Jason, that helps with communications and creating a newsletter. Would she be available
we can ask her.
to work
Yep.
with us? Yeah. I was thinking if she could put something together for us, and then Joe could review it. And I can go down to the election department and get the registered voters, the addresses. And then we can send the flyer and the addresses to a printing service. And I believe we used one in Linden before. They print the flyer and they also mail it out.
Mark asked about timing too.
Yeah.
Usually those kinds of things, if it's targeted at voters, look at the schedule that the auditor's office is using in elections to send out the ballots. So you time your flyers publication so that people get it before. They have to get it before. They can't get it after they've already started to vote. It's not effective. So your consultant will tell you that the timing means that we're looking at July. We're talking about an August 3rd primary election here as your lid lift first try, let's call it. And because that
He froze up there. I just to kind of dovetail into what he was saying, I think that I think the ballots are going to drop on like the 13th or 14th of July. So we'd want to get those in the mail at the same time so that they're arriving roughly on at the exact same time.
Yeah, well, but while we're waiting for Joe to come back on, Harry, can we just kind of unanimously consent here to give the smart people in the room here and the ones that know how to make this all happen the go ahead to come up with this mailer, and we will support that?
Do you think possibly if we hire the same girl that's working for 21 to duplicate that for District 4, would we be stepping out of bounds in any way to use that? That way it would be a general consensus of the 2 fire districts.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I don't know what the numbers would be, but as far as cost, but and maybe Jason would have some insight here because of his work with 21. But my sense is that if we wanted to hire essentially this PR arm that we had been working with through the RFA process, it's not going to be cheap. And I mean, sure, I suppose we could spend that money, but I don't know if that's what we would want to be spending that kind of money on right now. If we can maybe come up with something in-house, but it's a good point. Jason, I mean, do you know what we're talking about as far as dollars to do it basically in-house, or to hire like what 21 is doing?
I couldn't give you the number. I know it is expensive. I mean, you're paying for what you get. I do think that it's an informational flyer is going to be money well spent, especially to the District 4 voters, as they haven't had, this issue has not come up in a long time. Oh, hang on, Mr. Quinn's calling here. 1 second. This is Jason. Hi, you want me to send you another invite? Okay, 1 second here. Thanks. Okay, sorry, I'm going to send Mr. Quinn another invite.
Yeah, no, it's great. Technology is great when it works.
When it works. Sorry, let me get my my head back again. Yeah, I think it would. Once again, we have all that money set aside for RFA for professional services with the RFA. That's all been pushed back to the next budget year. This levy lid lift really works in concert with the RFA plan that both boards have in minutes, and it's been much talked about. So I think there's a defensible reason to use, if we're just talking about a mailer, it might be $6,000-7,000 once all said and done, to get the research and the the postage is going to be super, one of the most expensive parts of it. But maybe you want to take an additional, $5,000 or $10,000 out of that RFA fund that currently I think it's Chris. I think we've used about $10,000 out of that for roughly is what I think the board packet said.
Yeah, $9,600 were used there. A little over $40,000 available.
So, we could take half of those funds and you could amend them to just go to generalized professional services. And, whether we do it in-house or we hire someone we're working with currently or whatever, come up with a mailer and get it out. We've got till, I say we've got till the middle of July, but we've only got till the middle of July to drop this thing. And we want it to, I'm learning there's a strategy to when it needs to be there. And then, I think that is, having Mr. Quinn look at it and all that good stuff so that he can, that's definitely an important piece so that we can say it was vetted by the attorney. And I think that would be a good plan. That's what I would suggest. And we can certainly reach out to Heather Logan and see if she would be interested in helping us, or if her plate is too full, maybe she's got another name, or we could look for a local Bellingham PR firm, contact some of the other districts, contact District 1, South Whatcom. The nice thing is that all districts really on the western side of the county, with the exception of District 7, are in the same boat and are looking for a lid lift within 5 cents of each other. So,
Right.
So everybody's doing the same thing right now.
Okay, so I guess I'm not really sure then. Harry, what are your thoughts? Do you want to reach out to Heather? It seems like we would want to go with somebody initially to get their ideas on how to help us, because they've been working with us they know our numbers, they know our district, they know what's ahead, to get her ideas and initially, or, it's really, I'm okay either way. I guess once we decide what we're doing, it would be nice to go all in and try to get it this first time and not have to revisit it in November if it doesn't work.
My opinion, I have 2 items. Number one, we must always remember that the clock is ticking and we can't waste time or we'll be behind the 8 ball on filing this. Secondly, is that if we hire her, maybe her costs would not be that radical, in that she could duplicate whatever the District 21 is going to put out to use with District 4. It's already been written and so forth. So that might be helpful to that. But I think we must get going on this right now, and I would recommend we hire her.
Okay. Chris, we have the money to pay for this either now, or we can move money around to cover it. Or are we good to go with that?
Yeah, I would use the funds from the RFA
Okay.
line item.
Okay, and then actually making it happen and getting the work done.
Heather, I'll call
Sorry?
Heather. I'll call Heather and put her in contact with Chris,
Okay,
and the three of us will work to get this done. Or we'll, like I said, if she's not able to do it, we'll start hitting the ground. I'm getting good at pounding the pavement, so we'll get her done.
Okay, good. No, that sounds great. That's good, good input and insight on that, Harry. Appreciate it. Anything else then on that on the levy lid process?
oh, Joe said he has to restart his router.
Yep, he's calling in
Oh.
right now. It looks
Oh,
like
okay.
Okay.
be here by phone.
Well, actually, and once he's back on the line, just for his benefit, I'll just kind of summarize with him what we just sort of decided to do with that.
Well, I'm back by phone at this point. I had to reboot my router.
Oh boy.
My VPN
All right.
went
Well,
out.
thanks for calling back in. What you missed, Joe, just to kind of summarize on the levy lid lift process is we essentially, after getting input from Jason and Chris, Harry and I feel the best way to go forward would be to reach out to Heather, who had been part of the consulting group. Am I right, Jason, when the RFA was on track and she was part of that consulting group, and then Jason and Chris and her will coordinate and try to get that message developed. We will want to involve you to vet it for content, make sure we get your okie dokie on it, and all with looking through the lens of getting it out at the right time, in line with before the ballots are dropped.
Sounds good.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. I just saw Chief Bill Hewitt. Are you still with us there?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioner.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to see you. Are you walking? Are you taking this meeting, down a hallway? Are you stable?
No, I'm stable. I'm actually ducked into a conference room at Station 31 here, as we have the District 8 board meeting that's going to start here at 1 o'clock. So.
All right. Well, and I teed everybody up at the beginning of our meeting, knowing that you've got a very busy afternoon right now. So we're just going to skip to talking about the proposed interlocal agreement between the city of Bellingham and our fire district for the use of the training facilities. So just to tee it up, Harry, I guess I'd like you to know that consistent with what you had directed me at the last meeting, that you were okay if I did some of this between meeting negotiations and meetings and whatnot. I want you to know that I had a pretty lengthy conversation with Chief Bill Hewitt on this contract. I've also talked again with Jason about it. Honestly, I'm prepared to sign it today, to ask Chris to add it to our list of documents that we sign at the end of our meetings. But for your benefit, of course, I thought it would be important for you to hear the same things that I heard. And then if you and I needed to discuss it more, then this would be the appropriate time to do it. So Chief Hewitt, I don't know if you're ready to talk about it, or if Chief Vanderveen wanted to give his insight first. I'll let you guys decide who wants to go first. I'm seeing Jason shake his head and Bill nod his head. So Bill, why don't you go first?
Okay, I'll be happy to jump in there. So again, thank you for making some time for me to come talk with you today. Yeah, this agreement in my mind is kind of it's a starting point. So obviously we've been working under a long-standing agreement that had us using the training facility for the last several years in trade for us covering some properties up in the King Mountain area that are still in District 4. But we recognized earlier at the end of last year, we recognized that that previous agreement had been pretty lopsided in the benefit that we were getting compared to the services we were providing. So we sat down with then Commissioner Hanson and Chief Vanderveen and I, and we kind of looked at a way forward to provide some fair compensation for the use of the facility that was also had a nod to where we're trying to get to in the long term, which is a regional joint training group or training consortium, if you will. So in this agreement, so I guess just start with that mindset that in our mind, this is just step one. This is not necessarily where this ends, but this is kind of the start of what I hope will be a broader relationship in the future. In the agreement, we did pick a set amount for the use for the year. And that was part of that's, so that we can budget appropriately. Part of that's also to make sure that or had some additional funds this year to be able to move forward with some of the things that you need to do. The agreement basically allows us exclusive use of Building D and use of an office there in the main admin building, and then priority use for scheduling the paramedic classes in the big classroom. And then in addition to that, then it allows us use for that same fee of the other facilities. But for all the other facilities, we're in line with every other user as far as scheduling goes. I know there was a little bit of concern about the use of the training room, the big training room, and wanting to be able to have that available for other uses in that. And part of what Commissioner Land and I discussed, and that what I'm here to kind of commit to is that, our intention is for the paramedic class that we will know the dates that we need that classroom well in advance, that our captain that's running that program will make those dates known well in advance. And then once we have those locked in, we will actually free up any remaining dates so that the facility could, even though the contract says we get it Tuesday through Friday, once we lock those in, the idea is we'll let you know these ones are locked in. And then after that, it's open back up again to rent to anybody else that might need it. And the paramedic program runs basically it runs 11 months out of the year. There's 10 months of paramedic classroom, 1 month of anatomy and physiology. But during those times, there's some of the months where all the students are they're not coming to the classroom because they're going to hospitals to do various skills and that. So we want to make sure, even though the contract says, hey, we've got it, we get priority in those days. Once we have that schedule set and we know what days they are, we'll free it up. So District 4 can realize some additional rental or use it for your own, obviously for your own uses for your commissioner meetings and other things. So that was just one of the things that, even though it's not in the agreement, that is a commitment that I made with Commissioner Land. And I know since our meeting, I've confirmed with Captain Stevenson that the dates have been, the dates for this year have already been locked in. And we sent an email confirming that any other dates could be freed up for additional bookings there. I think the other concern that I'd heard was about the cost for live fire events. And again, the contract does very clearly state that, you know, our rights to use the facilities do not include using consumables or staff time from District 4 or North Wacom to help staff live fire events there.
Yeah. That was great. That was very helpful. Bill, appreciate that. I guess after hearing all that again, I'm just reminded that everything you just said really, it speaks also to just wanting to build relationships between our neighbors. You talked about this training facility evolving into a countywide center. I can't remember what your words were, but I want to, for me anyway, I want to continue that kind of talk. That seems really important. That our district wouldn't want to do anything to jeopardize that. I appreciate how you we're willing to just talk to some of the gray areas, even though the contract might allow, Bellingham exclusive use. You're wanting to, in reality, walk that back a little bit and provide us dates ahead of time, which, even though you've got contract rights that to lock down other dates, you're willing to open that up for us. I think that speaks highly to good relationships, and the live fire. So I guess, Joe, for Harry's benefit here and mine as well, can you talk a little bit about what the proposed contract language is currently, and understanding that we would want the Bellingham Fire Department to pay for those consumables and any of those extra costs, just to make sure that's we have their word, and I'm sure that they would. But is there language in there that meets your needs, and as our attorney? And maybe, I don't know, Jason, do you have that contract handy where you could even throw that up so we could maybe follow along with whatever that particular language is?
I think you're referring to chapter or section 1 right there under terms and conditions. In section 1, it does address that exclusion. See, the second sentence says this right to access and use does not include cost of consumables or staff time for live fire events. And if you read that in the context of the whole paragraph, the staff time they're talking about, I think, is the staff time that it takes to run a live fire training evolution in a training tower. We're not talking there about the staff time that District 4 might have to devote. It's really the city that's providing that staff time, as I understand the intent here. And so they're providing the consumables. We wouldn't even know what they are, really, from the District 4 standpoint. We wouldn't know what consumables are needed for the live fire, and we wouldn't know what staffing. I think you're talking about live fire training in this paragraph primarily, in the training, because it says the training tower, the tarmac. It also includes the classroom facilities. But the point is, I think, of paragraph 1, that the city's doing the training. And the city knows that it has to provide the necessary consumables and other expenses to make the training work. And that's all that district, or that section 1 is aimed at, is to make sure that we're not going to incur additional costs for District 4 in order to get this training done. That's a Bellingham issue.
Right. And that
if I could-
that language. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to just clarify, just so Chief Hewitt and I are on being held to the same standard. There is some cost for consumables. District 4 / North Wacom dictates what can and cannot be burned in that facility based on what our permit is, and it's pallets. And so if Bellingham Fire wants to come in and do, 12 hours of burning, or 8 hour, an 8-hour burn day, they need to provide the pallets. And a great example of that is, had we included consumables, a year ago, pallets cost one thing. Today, they cost something entirely different. So each agency that burns has to pay its own consumables, and staff time. We're required by NFPA to have we'll call it a burn master. So one person that's designated as the overall incident commander, trained to a certain level, holds a certain certification. Now, just like Chief Hewitt talked about, breaking down barriers, North Wacom is bringing a class in to get more people from different agencies this certification. Currently, there's one person in the county, and he belongs to North Wacom. We're looking to expand that, and that would allow them some economy of scale. But if it does turn out that incident commander is provided by North Wacom / District 4, then that needs to be reimbursed to the district, and Bellingham is acknowledging that's a cost that's separate. Correct, Chief Hewitt?
Yes, absolutely. And that, in this language, I think is kind of carryover from the previous contract. When the burn tower was a natural gas prop, there was some very specific training that you had to have to be an operator. And so, yeah, we've always known that the operator, we either have to provide our own operator, or we need to be able to pay for an operator that would be provided by North Wacom or District 4. So it's clear, it's been our past practice, and that's what we believe the language addresses here.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody, for all that. So Chris, I'll throw this out to you. I know that it might not be the ideal scheduling scenario that you would want to be in, but after hearing how we would get the schedule in advance and then freeing up the other days, is this something that you'd be able to work with, knowing what the other needs are for the facilities here?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm working with Rob Stevenson on his schedule for the paramedic training. As soon as he has it available, he will hand it over to me, and I will add it to the calendar. And the same with Bellingham Fire Department. As soon as they know when their training is, they usually email or call in, and I schedule the dates accordingly. And any other dates that are available for other agencies, it's
Okay.
I free those ones up.
Okay, good. So Joe, I know we highlighted the consumables part of the contract, but was there anything else in here that, while we have the stakeholders here from your perspective and just contractees, anything else that we would need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think there was a question about the automatic renewal clause, but actually use those quite often. I like an automatic renewal clause because it means that if through inadvertence something doesn't get revisited and renegotiated, it will continue as the status quo in the subsequent year. So I like the automatic renewal clause. I think there was a question about that. I think it's pretty clear that, as the chief said from Bellingham, this is a starting point. This is a step one. And I think everybody recognizes that maybe there will be a regional fire authority in the not too distant future. So that last sentence is good. It recognizes that if the organization changes a lot, like the formation of an RFA, then this will have to be revisited. This is not a long-term agreement necessarily in this exact format. So I
Right.
like paragraph 5, the way it's written now. I'm fine with that.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, Harry, you've heard, you now know what I know. Do you have any questions, comments, need anything clarified before I would suggest we take action on it?
Not from me, no. I think everything is going well.
Okay, good. Well, I would move then that we agree to adopt and sign this interlocal agreement between the City of Bellingham and Fire District 4.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that we sign and agree to the interlocal agreement between the City of Bellingham and Fire District 4. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. So Chris, is this, I've even lost track of where that first initial original document with all the city stakeholder signatures is. I'm assuming we still have that. Is that something that you could put in our signature pile for today?
Yes, absolutely. I have it here on my desk.
Okay, perfect. All right, Chief Hewitt, thank you for your time. Unless you wanted to just, stay and watch the rest of our meeting, which you're welcome to do.
I'd love to, but I got to get set for our District 8 Commissioner meeting. So I will just again say thank you. I appreciate the collaborative work with Chief Vanderveen, with Commissioner Land, and look forward to, figuring out what the next step is going to be for us.
All right, thank you. Thanks for your time today.
Yep.
Okay. We finished that. So new business. I've got the levy lid lift again on here under new business for the November ballot. I hope we're not looking at it on the November ballot, but I guess did we need to talk about sort of a what if? Is that why that's on there, Chris?
Yes, it is, because the deadline for the November ballot is August 3rd. So by that time, we won't know if the voters approved the levy lift. So we have to put it on the ballot again in November.
This is
I
often
believe
called a
Jason
backup.
suggested that also, yeah.
It's often called a backup election because of this very phenomenon about the August primary being the deadline. So you sometimes can put in a provision that says if it's approved in the August election, we automatically want to advise the elections department to withdraw this ballot proposition from the November ballot. You don't have to do that, but sometimes I've done it that way, and it seems to work. It depends mostly on your relationship with the election department. So typically you won't know the results of the August primary until the election results are certified some 2 or even 3 weeks later when the canvassing board meets. When that happens, if it's obvious that it's being approved, you can pull this.
Okay.
There's no deadline to pull it off. So you can pull it off after you see that you've won at the August primary. And if not, you leave it on.
So basically, and what I'm hearing is essentially, Joe, you need to draft another levy measure with essentially the same kind of language, maybe change the dates. And then this is something that Harry and I would vote on and sign, just kind of like the last one.
Right. It's virtually identical with the change of the dates. You don't really change the terms of the ballot proposition at all.
Okay.
You just change the dates and submit it after your July meeting so that they get it before the deadline. They sent Chris the guidelines. She has the complete guidelines in hand for what you have to do. You do have to file with this an explanatory statement that's either written or at least reviewed by your attorney. Elections departments in all the counties require an explanatory statement for the local voters pamphlet. The other thing you have to do is appoint or try to appoint committees for
Mhm.
and against the proposition. And if you
Right.
can't do it, you can't do it. I mean, sometimes you can't find a committee. You can't find anyone who wants to serve on a committee against. That happens often. And I noticed in your county, you have to tell them that you followed at least 3 of the recommended measures for trying to make your best efforts to find committee against folks. So Chris needs to look at that and be able to say, we did this, we did that, we did the other thing, we did 3 things, we didn't get any. Those are our best efforts. You have to submit that with your other stuff, your resolution and your explanatory statement, so that they know not to expect a committee against if that's the case.
Okay. Well, it seems prudent that we should do that and be prepared for it. Harry, any thoughts on that? Agree, disagree?
No, I agree with that.
Okay. So then you guys will, when I say you guys, sorry, Chris and Joe, you'll have something then before us to take action on at the next meeting. Is that kind of what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Station 13. And so this is the one out on East Smith Road that is basically vacant. Prior to the previous board chair leaving, he had set in motion inquiring, the worth of the property, whether we would want to talk about selling it or not. So I think what I'm going to ask Chris to update us on, and maybe some feedback from Jason as well, as far as just the overall strategic plans for that fire station, just so that we're all on the same page. This is just sort of continuation on some work that was started some months ago.
Mhm.
So Chris, can you maybe tee it up there for us?
Yeah, I met with Heather Stevenson. She's the realtor who also sold Station 11. And we went out to Station 13 recently, and we did a walkthrough of the building and the bay, and also walked all the way back to the cell tower. And she did comparables that she listed, and she said it's about 4.6 acres. And she would list the sales price a little bit under $500,000. That's the information we received from her so far. And yeah, she said
Okay.
the building needs some repairs to it, and needs to be cleaned on the inside. That's what I received from her.
Okay, thank you. Joe, your hand is up on my thing. Is that a old emoji, or did you want to talk about that?
It's a new emoji. I noticed something in the submittal from Heather Stevenson that Chris shared with me, and that is about the cell tower.
Mhm.
It seemed to be unclear to the realtor about the status of your rent. So I was just curious if the district has a good rent contract. A lot of those cell tower contracts get out of date. And my son and I both do a lot of work with a man who is the leading cell tower broker in Washington State. And so if you need help, I'm just putting it out there. If you need help with the cell tower and getting a good rental, they are tremendous value. I've been doing a lot of this work representing property owners like you. I represent the property owner because Brian Gunnarsson of Gunnarsson Consulting Services sends us a lot of work for property owners who have cell towers or the potential to put cell towers on their property. There's a lot of money in this, believe it or not. And so you want to see if you're maximizing your value there. I won't say any more about it. I'm not a subject matter expert, but Brian is. And if you want, I've referred him to several fire district clients who have cell towers and who have rentals. And more often than not, we find the money they're getting is woefully inadequate as property owners, that they should be getting more. So if you want to know more about that, just to plant that seed. But I wondered, because Heather wondered too. She doesn't know how, I guess, to put a value on the cell tower aspect of your property, because she probably hasn't seen a good rental or site agreement that provides how many dollars you're getting every year.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
good.
all.
No, that's good, good information.
I could give an update on that one if you want me to.
Yes, please.
We currently don't receive any rent for the cell tower. We sold the easement to the cell tower company.
It's terrible.
Oh,
Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, you should look into that, because you've got some money, if it's your land in your tower and you've sold an easement, it sounds to me like you're not getting proper remuneration for the access of that company, whether it's AT&T, whoever it is, Verizon, I don't care who it is, they all pay considerable amounts of money to have access to those towers and put their equipment on those towers.
Well, could I maybe suggest, Chris, that as time allows, maybe you look into that, and maybe Joe has a good source there, and maybe you could put something together for us to talk about at the next meeting. Would that be reasonable?
Yeah, I can go ahead and send him some information over for review.
And I can ask Brian to call Chris and make a connection there
Mm-hmm.
and give some advice too. He'll do some things for free, but not much.
Yeah. Well, and sure, that's fair. But if we're not capturing a source of revenue that we're entitled to, it seems that we need to fix that. All right. Well, back on the main topic, Jason, you're the boss. You've got all these, potentially all these fire halls and fire stations. How does, knowing that we're talking about, possibly, entertaining ideas about selling Station 13, keeping it, I mean, how does that factor into just your overall strategic plan to deliver service?
As far as service delivery, I can't say that Station 13 is essential at this point. I don't think the growth patterns of what comes out of Bellingham on that East Smith Road, that's ever going to be a metropolis where we're going to need a full-time station. But I do not think we should sell it at this point. I would not recommend that. We are certainly, I am certainly getting plenty of feedback about the closure of Station 11 and what it's done to insurance rates in the Agate Bay area. I think with a levy lid lift and an RFA on the ballot, and it significantly changes, in some cases doubles people's homeowner insurance to not have a fire station within 5 miles, no matter whether that fire station was responding or not. I mean, Station 11 was mothballed for years, but for whatever reason, the insurance companies, if we don't have a station within a 5 mile radius, the insurance companies just hammer their ratepayers. And I get a couple phone calls a week about it, and the explanation is usually well understood, and people are not angry when we get off the phone, but it's quite a surprise to them. And at this point, it seems disingenuous and maybe even foolish, but I think we should hang on to that station. Just apparently us being the title holders to that land really means something to the insurance companies.
Yeah.
And so my recommendation would be to hang on to it for now.
Yeah. No, that all good points. And what stuck with me really was also just the timing. If the worst case scenario happens and we don't get the levy lid lift either in August or even November, and it seems that we're gonna be struggling to pay some bills. So if for nothing else, we should hang on to it just in case we might need it later.
Right.
And just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the right time to me either for a number of reasons. So, but again, this process was started some time ago. Harry, you were around, you knew the history of maybe why we were looking at that potentially as a sale. I mean, what are your thoughts on just what we should do with it here or later?
Well, my question is, has anybody looked into the difference between selling the station, which would be a one-time income, or renting it, which would be a continual income? So we need to think of both before we jump into anything. And I think that Joe was very correct in that if we do away with that station, it's going to affect the residents that their insurance and so forth we have to consider.
Yeah. Well, either way, it doesn't sound like selling it should be on the table in the near future. So I guess, Chris, whatever you've got going on with the realtor, maybe you could pump the brakes on that, and we'll just put station 13 sort of on the back burner here. And if Jason decides he ends up, it needs to be staffed, I guess we can talk about that later, although it doesn't sound like it. Renting it might be a great idea. Tying up the cell tower revenue, all are good things to talk about, but selling it maybe not so much. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. All right. I think, is it time for the executive session to talk about the open fire commissioner position? I guess, Joe, I think we need to have an executive session to go over, qualifications and whatnot. And I would invite, obviously, Harry and Jason and Joe. Does that sound appropriate that we do that now?
You can invite whoever you choose. You can have the persons you named and then add another person later. But the law is that you cannot interview or make a final decision with respect to an elected position except at an open session. So
right. So we wouldn't be taking any action. It would probably be a short 5-minute executive session to talk about, the qualifications. And then we would come back out into the public meeting to talk about potential actions.
right, you have to state the purpose and the length of time or the times. And so you could say, for example, we're going into executive session at 1 p.m. for 5 minutes to discuss the qualifications of candidate, if you will, an applicant for an elected position appointment.
Yeah, that's exactly what we'll do. So me and Harry and Jason and Joe will be invited into this executive session. And it shouldn't last for more than 5 minutes. And it's per RCW 423110-1G to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or review the performance of a public employee.
Actually, Mark, it's 1H.
Oh, thank you. I was just reading off my cue card here. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris and I discussed that on the agenda a little bit. It's actually 1H. 1G is for public employees, like the fire chief or an employee, but there's a separate section for elected officials appointments, and that's 1H. It's almost the same thing.
Gotcha. Thank you. And now that you mentioned that, I think Chris actually maybe sent an update. I just maybe didn't print it or something. So my bad. Jason, are you ready can you invite us to a breakout room or
Yes.
however we do that?
Yep. 1 second here.
Oh, look at that. Join. Okay, and I just got the recording in progress in my ear, so does it look like we're back in the public meeting? Okay, you're muted there, Chief, but thank you. Okay, well, I would like to move that we appoint Steve Cooley to fill the vacancy on the current board position. I can read your lips, Harry, but we should probably have the second, on record.
Second it, yeah.
Thank you. It was moved and seconded that we appoint or offer the appointment to Steve Cooley to fill the vacancy on the board. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we will offer that appointment to Steve Cooley in the hopes that he accepts, assuming that he does. Chris, can you then take the ball on that and work with Steve on all the new employee orientation stuff and the public disclosure training and just, all that stuff, oath of office. Jason, maybe you could do like you did with me when I came on board, and I found those notebooks very helpful. I think even the one on the RFA might be helpful, because of course that'll just be, this time next year or even sooner, that'll be back on the table. Yeah, so Steve, I know you're muted and you're hearing all this. Jason, before I forget, also, if you could ask him if he would be interested in sort of the district tour, also like you gave me.
We'll do that. Yep, so get an idea.
Schedules permitting and all that. Yeah, Steve. So thanks for your interest, and welcome aboard, or soon to be aboard here. And yeah, we really look forward to your insight and leadership and participation and getting us back up to full strength.
Thanks, Mark. I'm happy to do it, and I appreciate the offer of the appointment. I would request a small party, so if we can arrange that, then I'll agree to be a commissioner.
Sure. Well, it'll be very small. In fact, consider it just happened.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, it's a Zoom party.
Okay. All right. I accept. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Okay, there was nothing on correspondence. Anything else? Any announcements? Anything for the good of the order from anybody? Also, look ahead to the next on your calendars. Make sure that July 16th still works for everybody here. I've got it on my calendar still, so yeah, I don't have anything else. Anybody?
Looks good to me.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for all your time and work for getting us through our agenda. Much appreciated, and see y'all next